Good evening and welcome to episode 3 of the SaintsUKHub YouTube channel. Last week didn't quite go as well as we anticipated. Anybody who watched the video will have seen that Ash and I were, I'd say confident would be the word. Ash, confident?
I would say I was overconfident.
No.
I thought we were going to smash them and they spanked us.
Yeah, it didn't go to plan. Certainly didn't go to plan. Ben was the only one who seemed concerned about the game. And obviously his
And he's
concerns...
got a lot of views for it as well.
He has, yeah. But obviously his concerns were in the right place. As you can see, Ben isn't joining us tonight because he is a bit of an idiot. He forgot last week when we planned to do this that he'd already had plans and then reminded us what told us about, 6 hours ago?
Well, pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, 6 hours ago. So you're stuck with the two of us. To be fair, some people, Neil, may actually prefer it just to be me and you, Ash. So...
Well, I think. Well, we need to get Neil on, I think, because he'd be a lot better suited than Ben. I think Neil's more reliable. Let's put it that way.
More reliable, yeah. So Neil, that's an open invitation. One Saturday night, if you want to come and join us, then feel free. We'll be in touch.
Definitely.
We'll be in touch. Obviously, I've skipped past the introduction, but as you can see, I'm joined by Ash again this evening. Ash, is everything okay with you?
Yeah, well, I feel I'm better than Tua right now.
Yeah. So we're recording. Yeah, so we're recording at 9:30 on Saturday night. So the early slate of college games is finished, and obviously anybody who follows the college game will probably know that Tua, the Alabama quarterback, went off with what looks to be a really serious hip injury. Now, I don't wish injury on any player. Cam Newton, maybe.
Matt Ryan.
Well, he's just rubbish. He doesn't need to be injured. He's just rubbish. But, I hate to see it, especially when he was going to go highly drafted. And so he's probably lost out on a fair amount of money. So I feel sorry for him. But, we talked before recording. It's Alabama, so, oh well.
Yeah, exactly.
Go Tigers.
Yeah,
Go Tigers. Go Tigers. Go Tigers. Yeah. Good impression. Sounded a bit more like Scooby-Doo than Ed Orgeron, but...
Well... I can't do Coach O's voice, mate. I will try for next episode, but I can't do Coach O's voice.
What I would recommend is swallowing about a ton of gravel before you try it. That's probably what it'll sound like.
I'll try that one.
Yeah, maybe not. Right, so tomorrow, Tampa Bay away. What are you thinking, Ash? What are you thinking?
I'm concerned.
Concerned? Okay, why?
I'm concerned because we had a complete team going into Week 10 against the Falcons. So I'm not going to go on to the Falcons too much because we did it on the podcast. But last week, I was overly confident. I thought we were going to smash them. I thought we were going to put 50 on them, and they just spanked us. They spanked us so hard, and they showed us up. So... And what I'm worried about now is the teams are going to now follow the Falcons suit and saying, right, hang on a minute, we can find how to beat the Saints, and we know how to stop them. They stopped the run. They stopped the run game. They stopped us from getting in the end zone. And I'm concerned now that we're Lattimore out, who's going to guard Mike Evans and who's going to guard Chris Godwin? Because to be fair, those two wide receivers, although Jameis Winston is throwing to them. The two of them, I think Evans is number 2 in the leader race and Godwin's number 4.
I think Evans is 50 yards behind Thomas and Godwin's about 150 yards behind Michael Thomas.
So they're like in second and they're in second and fourth spot. And we're playing them at their house now without a Lattimore. And I'm concerned that I'm hoping that, Carmichael and Payton have basically kicked the O-line's ass and said, listen, you can't keep, getting Bree sacked like this because 6 sacks in a game, that was just completely bizarre.
They'd had 7. The Falcons had 7 sacks all season before last week.
Exactly. And they sacked Bree 6 times.
Yeah.
That can't help, when the likes of we going against the Bucs defensive line. Luckily enough, I wouldn't, their passing game is more of a threat to us rather than their run game. And of course, with Lattimore out, I'm concerned. I
Yeah.
am quite concerned. I'm not concerned to the fact that we're going to lose the game. I think we can go down there, get the brooms out, and we can sweep out and we can take the win. I just think it's going to be a little bit more difficult than what we've been, accustomed to the last, 5, 6, 7 weeks.
Yeah, I see. Last week, I think I said either on the pod or on here that the Falcons aren't going to be able to get through our offensive line to get to Breeze, and their offensive line isn't going to be able to stop our defensive line.
No.
Now, I don't know what happened last week, but both lines played their worst game of the season, both in the same week. Now, it's come out afterwards that Teron Armstead was ill all week and probably shouldn't have played on Sunday. He had the flu.
Yeah.
But, the Falcons had 7 sacks before last week. They almost doubled their season tally in one game. The Falcons had given up 24, 25 sacks or something like that throughout the season. Did we hit Matt Ryan once? I can't remember. I've forgotten. I've forgotten a lot about the game. So, your point about Lattimore being out, I agree with. Lattimore is so important to Dennis Allen's defensive scheme because he essentially takes away one half of the field for the quarterback, which means, the D-line has got a lot more time to get pressure. This week, because we haven't got Lattimore and we're probably going to have, I would suggest it's probably going to be Patrick Robinson that plays outside.
Possibly, but
PJ Williams inside.
I don't know because you're gonna have Eli Apple. You're gonna have Eli Apple there. I think it's going to be a case of Patrick Robinson's going to have to step up. Obviously he's coming back from injury. He's coming. It'll be his first game back.
Yeah.
Will he be able to fill Lattimore's shoes with his first game back against the Bucs, and especially with Mike Evans? That again is another concern because without Lattimore, if they air the ball, and especially with the way that Godwin and Evans is right now, I'm concerned we're going to let a lot of yards go in the air. Unless, obviously, the defensive line and, say, Demario Davis, Kiko Alonso can get it, Winston, pressure him, make him throw missed balls or throw too high, throw too long, or sack him as many times as we need to. But we need to get pressure on Winston quickly than what we did last week to stop that threat of Godwin and Evans, in the air.
Yeah, well, because Lattimore isn't playing, it is going to be absolutely crucial that the defensive line get pressure because we all know that Jameis Winston does not play well when he's being hit, when he's under pressure. No. So I don't know how they're going to do it or what they're going to do differently to last week, but getting pressure on Jameis Winston is going to be absolutely, absolutely crucial.
I honestly think it's more. I think it's more the fact that the offense has to step up 100 times more and a lot better than what they did last week. Because obviously we said this on the pod. Coming into the fourth quarter, we was only 13-9. We was only 4 points down. We were literally only 4 points down. But the longer you keep a defense on the field, the more the easier the more tired they get. Of course, the amount of time that the defense was on the field, come fourth quarter, they were knackered. They were knackered. They were gassed.
Yeah,
and it was, again, the offense. I'm gonna put the Breeze. Everyone on the offensive side of that ball did not capitalize on the defensive stops, the interception, and everything else. The defense are trying to give them chances to win the game, and they didn't capitalize on it. That needs to start. They need to say, do you know what? Right, defense, you kept us in the game. We're going to capitalize on what you've given us, and they need to start doing it now.
As funny as it sounds, the Saints are now probably a defensive team, not an offensive team.
Mm.
I'd go so far as to say that our defense is better than our offense. Which, as a Saints fan, that's absolutely unheard of. Absolutely unheard of.
We haven't had this good a defense for years.
Yeah,
and I mean years. And we need to play like the 7-2 team that we know we can play. We can't play like the 1-7 Falcons like last week. We have to do it. Now, you said on the podcast, like, during the week that is our one game of us, losing so badly that, we're a shadow of ourselves. We need to find our X factor. We need to get our swag back, and we need to do it now, because obviously we got Bucs. We got the Bucs to play. We got the Panthers twice, and we got Falcons again before the end of this season. That's 4 division games, and we need to win them for any chance to get to the number 1 or number 2 seed.
Yeah, our margin for error is almost gone now.
Definitely.
And I know we weren't going to dwell on last week's game, but if we were 8-1 now, we'd be sat in the number 1 seed.
Yeah.
So it is frustrating. Now look, looking ahead slightly, taking our games out of the equation, the 49ers and Packers play each other next week.
Yep.
The Packers have still got to play the Vikings again.
Yep.
The 49ers have got to play the Ravens and us away consecutively.
Yep.
So, I mean, when you look at the Seahawks are what, 8-2 now?
Yeah.
But we do hold the tiebreaker over them.
We do.
The NFC is so much stronger than the AFC. The AFC has got 2.5 teams: the Patriots, the Ravens, and half of the Chiefs when they can be bothered.
Yeah.
But you look at the NFC, you've got the 49ers, the Saints, the Packers, the Panthers, the Seahawks, the Vikings. You're going to have the Eagles, the Cowboys. You're going to have 2 or 3 good teams not making the postseason this year. That's how crazy the NFC is, which is why it's crucial. We've got to be 1 or 2 seed.
Well, this is it, right? Let's take a look at it. We're at the Bucs. We're at home to the Panthers. We're at the Falcons. We're at home to the 49ers and Colts. Away at the Titans, and then away at the Panthers. That's our last remaining schedule.
Yeah.
The Packers they got the 49ers, Giants, Redskins, Bears, Vikings, Lions. Now, the only 2 teams there, the Lions can be hit and miss depending on the day. They got the Vikings and they got the 49ers. That could be 2 potential losses for them. With the Niners now, they got obviously the Packers. They got the Cardinals first, then the Packers, Ravens, Saints, Falcons, Rams, Seahawks. So obviously the Niners have got a more difficult schedule coming up to week 17 than the Packers have. So in a way, we need the Niners to beat the Packers when they come off their bye next week, or this week is their bye. So, week 12, they need to beat the Packers for us to come in, slip behind, and get number 1 seed, which that will then be every game we must win unless the other teams mess up.
Yeah. So realistically then, we've kind of gone off topic a bit here, but realistically, whilst we're talking about it, the 49ers are 8-1.
Mm-hmm.
The Packers are 8-2.
I think they're 8-2. Are they 8-2 or 8-1?
8-1. I can't remember. We are obviously 7-2. You looking at their remaining games? The Packers. Well, have you got the standings up there now? I can't remember what the Packers are.
Yeah, I got it on them now. 1 second. The Packers are 8-2. Saints 7-2. Niners are 8-1.
Right. So the 49ers then, they could be 12-4.
They could be 12-4.
12-4.
Yeah.
The Packers, they could be 13-3. Looking at their record, they might lose to the 49ers. They might lose to the Vikings. I don't see them losing any of the other games.
No. Well, with the Lions, it's not a shock to the fact the Lions know how to beat the Packers. So, that's a coin flip game. So with us to even get to the number 1 or number 2 seed and get,
we can't lose another game. Another game.
We have to win out now.
Or we go 13-3, but make sure we beat the 49ers.
Yeah.
So the
tiebreak.
It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough.
Yeah.
But we'll delve into that later in the season. Yeah, we went a bit off topic there, but yeah, I mean, the NFC race is ridiculous this year. Ridiculous.
Yeah. We are like the Western Conference of the NBA because the Western Conference is stacked.
Yeah.
Whereas with the Eastern Conference, with say the AFC, obviously there's a lot linear teams. So
yeah,
it's going to be fun.
Yeah, it is. But we can't afford any more. We can't afford to lay any more eggs, put it that way. Definitely
No,
can't afford to lay more eggs.
no.
Right. So let's have a prediction for tomorrow's game.
Well, last week I said
Nothing
we would be.
stupid this week.
Yeah, nothing stupid. Do you know what? I would take a 14 points to 10 game.
Yeah,
I'd
just
take a
win.
four. I'd take any. I don't care what. If we, I don't care even if it's a 3-0 game and we win. We win. I don't care. We
No.
just need to win.
Yeah. Leave there with the win. And we're
Yeah,
in the
and do
all-white
you know what?
uniform as well, which we've got a good record in so far this season. Not
Exactly.
colour rush, but the all-white.
The thing is I can. It'd be typical Saints. So we absolutely bomb out the week before, and then we come back and we absolutely light it up. But yeah, luckily enough, it's 6 p.m. over here, so we will be able to calm down before bedtime.
Yeah. I was angry last week.
Yeah, because obviously with American viewers and listeners, obviously when this is like say a 3:25 game over in America, it's 9:25, and it finishes at midnight here. And of course, if it's a really short game and the heart's pumping and the adrenaline's rushing, it takes us about an hour just to calm down, which then we're in bed by 1 o'clock in the morning. So yeah. I think it's gonna. As long as the defense does what they're doing, even without Lattimore, they do what they do, and with the offense capitalizing on the defensive stops, then we will easily win it. So I'm just going to go for 14-10, and they'll turn it, and then it'll be someone like 45-44.
God, I hope not. I couldn't take that. I, like you, don't care, just win.
No, don't care, just win.
Don't care, just win. This team has got through. I mean, let's everybody's all down because Lattimore's injured, and I'm guilty of it myself. But we didn't have Breeze and we didn't have Kamara for a couple of games this season, and we did all right. We went to Seattle and won. We beat the Cowboys. Lattimore is important. I think I'm going to go Saints 24, Tampa Bay 17.
Oh, one touchdown score.
Yeah, 24-17. There's no way the Saints play that badly again. There's no way Peyton lets them play that badly again, and Tampa Bay will be defeated by the Saints. That's my prediction.
Get the brooms out.
Get the brooms out, yeah. I'm sat in the kitchen, but I don't have a broom handy, otherwise I'd have waved it in front of the screen. Never mind. Right, so second topic this week. Michael Thomas had a jersey, gloves, and cleats go to the Hall of Fame this week because he is the fastest man to get to 400 receptions in his career. As a Saints fan, as Saints fans, we think that Michael Thomas is the best wide receiver in the NFL. He's paid like the best wide receiver in the NFL. However, the wider NFL community don't seem to share that feeling. And when everybody talks about the top 3 wide receivers, his name is very rarely mentioned. Julio Jones, DeAndre Hopkins, Odell Beckham, Antonio Brown before he went mental, were all names that were mentioned. Mike Evans sometimes gets mentioned ahead of Michael Thomas. So I just wanted to open up a discussion between us as to why you think that might be. Why is Michael Thomas not seen as a top wide receiver in the general NFL community?
Because he plays for the Saints. And the NFL hates the Saints. That's as easy as that. That's the only thing I can think of. Because, let's put it this way, right? Before when Antonio Brown was in the Steelers, he was probably the best wide receiver in the league by far. DeAndre Hopkins, again, he is a great talent. And he is another one that is, one of the best in the league. Whereas Michael Thomas, he's just got, glue hands. You know what I mean? When he came out, when we drafted him in the second round, and he changed it, and he put his Twitter handle as Can't Guard Mike, a lot of people was like, "Oh, hang on a minute, you haven't even improved yourself yet." You know, come into the season now. You know, what was it, three or fourth season?
This is his fourth season, yeah.
It's his fourth season now, and look what the guy does. You throw him a ball, even with Breeze, hell, even with Bridgewater thrown to him. You know, he is an elite wide receiver, and the only thing I can think of is that he's wearing the black and gold. If he was playing for the Patriots, or if he was playing for the Chiefs, or he was playing for, I don't know, bloody
anyone.
Rams, anyone apart from the Saints. And that's what it is. I generally think he doesn't get as much love because he plays for the Saints. It's like this, the whole, the whole thing with Aaron Rodgers being, the GOAT. Other than Tom Brady. Well, he's only won one ring to what we have done, than what Breeze has done. Breeze has accomplished far more in his career than what Rodgers has done.
And will.
Yeah. The only thing that Rodgers has, completed in his career than Drew Brees is him going to Goodell and NFL bitching about the way, quarterbacks get tackled. Right? But anyway, yeah. Michael, let's have a look at the first ranked talent that got drafted in 2016 next to Michael Thomas. Okay,
in front of Michael Thomas, yeah.
Yeah. So you had Corey Coleman drafted at number 15 by the Browns. Okay.
Yeah.
Willie Fuller, Texas, on 21. Jock Doctson for the Skins at 22. Laquan Treadwell at 23, and you also had Sterling Shepard drafted by the Giants at pick 40 in the second round. And now you're telling me all them were better than Michael Thomas? No, they're not. And it's the same with the likes of Julio Jones, the same as DeAndre Hopkins. Yes, they are elite wide receivers, but they don't do what Michael Thomas does. You throw Michael Thomas the ball, he's going to catch it.
Yeah.
Even if double or triple coverage, he always catches what's thrown to him. And, Julio Jones, he drops a lot of balls. The same as DeAndre Hopkins. The same as Julian Edelman. The same as Odell Beckham. These are elite wide receivers, but they're not as elite as Michael Thomas. And I think the only reason why they don't give him the love that he deserves is because he's in the Saints jersey. That's it.
Yeah, I mean, the Saints are a small market team. They are, they're a small market team. I think it's he does everything well, right? He does. Catches the ball. He's good after the catch. The only thing he doesn't have, which I think if he had would make the difference, is he doesn't have the blazing speed. He's quick, but he's not quick. Did you get what I mean?
Yeah, but the thing is, if you want blazing speed, then you go to a running back. You don't want. Yeah. Sorry.
It's all right.
Yes, receivers do need speed. Don't get me wrong, but for blazing speed, you go to a running back. You don't have it as a wide receiver. You want them to go about 20, 30 yards down the field. Do their catch the ball, and once they got the ball, then they just run to the end zone as fast as they can. Right? That's all it is. If you want someone with blazing speed, you got to run him back. So someone that can get the ball, find a hole, bang, run 80 yards down the field, touchdown, happy days, no one can touch him. Whereas with Michael Thomas, all you need is throw him the ball, he gets it, and let him go to work. It's as easy as that. You don't need blazing speed for a wide receiver.
Yeah. No, you don't. But that's
Jones isn't really quick. He's physical and he's quick to the ball. Yes, but is he that fast? No, I don't think he is. I honestly don't.
But I mean, that's the only thing I can think it is. I mean, I've got his stats on my phone here. So far in his career, 407 catches, 4,814 yards, with an average of 11.8. His longest catch is 72 yards, and he's got 27 touchdowns. He's...
There's the thing. His average is 11.4. So that's
11.8.
So sorry, say
11.8. Sorry, yeah.
11.8 yards on average. That's the first down and more.
Every catch.
Every catch.
Yeah, every catch. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I think he's the best wide receiver in the NFL, and I've said it for a couple of years. I know you do. I know we're Saints fans, and we're going to be biased, and we see a lot of him and stuff like that. So we think he's the best wide receiver in the NFL. If anybody disagrees or agrees, chuck a comment into the bottom of the video when it's published, and we'll talk about it there. But for me, and I think I speak for Ash as well, Michael Thomas is the best wide receiver in the NFL, and long may he continue to play for the Saints.
Oh, without a doubt. And I will say this now: the way that obviously there's a lot of stats going on that he's on pace to break the reception yards, get like 1,800 receiving yards, things like that. If the Saints go fucking deep, if the Saints go deep in the playoffs, then I'm sorry, but he gets put in an MVP. He's one of the front runners for the MVP. Now, don't get me wrong. Before all the haters get on the comments, Russell Wilson, yes, he is getting
He's having an unbelievable season, Russell Wilson. Unbelievable
season. But I don't think the Seahawks will go as far as what we will.
I hope not.
So, Sean Payton will be coach of the year, depending on how far we go into the playoffs. And I can see Michael Thomas being MVP, depends on how far we get into the playoffs.
So Michael Thomas's highest season was last year. He caught 125 balls.
Yep.
He's played 9 games this season.
Mm-hmm.
He's already caught 86.
Exactly. So he's already, he's
a
already
big day,
2/3 of the way into his current season.
A big day tomorrow, and he could go over 100 catches in 10 games. He's on 1,027 yards, and last year he had 1,405 yards. He could break his total in the next 3 games.
Yeah.
For the yards. He's going to smash every Saints wide receiver record there is. Absolutely smash every Saints wide receiver record there is. And he could go close to breaking the 2,000-yard mark.
Yeah, definitely.
This season.
Obviously, I don't know. I can't remember if it was you or Ben that said in the podcast that he would need, say, 250-yard game. And I honestly think that he can have it. It's just a case of getting him the ball, and hopefully one of the defenses have an off day that Michael Thomas just runs riot.
So we've got 7 games left, yeah? 7 games left.
Yeah. And
he's averaging, what's he averaging so far this season? About 123 yards a game?
Yeah. Because he had 152 yards last week.
152 yards, yeah. So, if he carries on the way he's going, in the next 7 games at 123 yards a game, he's going to be somewhere near 1,900 yards.
Yeah.
Which, is unreal. Long may it continue. Long may it continue. Yep. Right, the final thing we're going to talk about today is not Saints related. Anybody who hasn't heard or seen yet, the Thursday night game between Pittsburgh and Cleveland, there was there was more than one incident during the game, but we're talking about the main incident, which came with seconds left on the clock.
I think 8 seconds on the clock.
Yeah, there were seconds left on the clock. Pittsburgh were on offense, and Myles Garrett sacked Mason Rudolph. Mason Rudolph reacted, and then quite possibly how do I describe it? Quite possibly the ugliest incident I've ever seen on an NFL field took place, where Myles Garrett ripped Mason Rudolph's helmet off his head and then proceeded to smack him in the head with it. Yeah. Now, as we all know, Myles Garrett's been suspended for a minimum of the rest of the season.
Well, it's indefinitely until investigating it. Yeah.
So it's an indefinite suspension, but it's a minimum of the rest of this season. Ash, what are your thoughts on it, and what happened, and what the punishment? Do you think the punishment fits, or
the punishment fits for Myles Garrett? I don't condone what he did. However, after watching it replay back, about 20 times a day, if you look, the fact is Myles Garrett, sacked Mason Rudolph, which to me was a fair tackle. And obviously they show it again. You can see I think there was words exchanged between the two, which made Rudolph react to try and rip Garrett's helmet off when he was still on the ground.
Yeah.
Okay. And obviously, words must have been exchanged for it to all blow up. Obviously, he ripped his helmet off. But what I'm quite surprised is that they got separated. Mason Rudolph went back to Garrett and instigated it more, which then, again, he got the helmet and he swung it at his head. Now, why isn't Mason Rudolph being suspended or fined or anything as well? Because number one, he was the instigator. Number two, you could see he was trying to rip off Garrett's helmet off first. Number three, the amount of times he kicked him in the groin, and I'm telling you, it wasn't just in the stomach section to try and push him off. He was right in between his legs.
Oh, he's kicking him in the nuts. He was kicking him in the nuts.
Pretty much. Yeah. Right? And after they got separated, Mason Rudolph went back again. So he instigated again. So why is he not being penalized? I'm not saying obviously indefinitely because he wasn't the one that threw the helmet at someone's head. But why is he not being dealt with for not only his post-interview comments, basically, sniggering at Garrett, the way he lost it, but not only that, the way that he instigated it. To me, Mason Rudolph should be sitting out the rest of this season as well to say, right, you started it, and then you went back again to wind him up, which led to the helmet to the head.
Yeah.
Again, I'm not defending what Garrett done, but I strongly think that Mason Rudolph should have been dealt with accordingly and had at least a couple of games.
Now, I think Rudolph has been or is going to be fined for it. I read a report that said that he was going to be fined for it. Yes, he did react. And yes, he did instigate it. And yes, he did go back. In my opinion, though, that does not mean that Myles Garrett should have swung the helmet at him. Now, anybody who listens to the podcast know that I've played the game. And I went into my garage today to get something out, and I was trying to find my old American football helmet. Not for anything other than to kind of hold it up and smack it with my own hand, so people who don't and haven't played the game or haven't worn an American football helmet can see just how freaking heavy and hard they are. What he did was dangerous. Really dangerous. And there can be no, yes, he was provoked, and yes, he this, and yes, it was that. That still doesn't mean he should have had an American football helmet swung at his head like it was.
No. And I totally agree with that, but Mason Rudolph shouldn't have gone back for seconds. He shouldn't have gone back to him when they got separated. He should have just turned around, walked off the field, and asked that. But he went there, and he got into his face again. And again, I'm not, condoning what Garrett did. But it could have been avoided if Rudolph didn't go back into it and, start it again.
I mean, if you think sensibly about it, right, Mason Rudolph is about half the size of Myles Garrett.
Yeah.
Even, you take the pads off, Myles Garrett would have eaten him alive. I mean, I think Mason Rudolph he'd thrown 4 interceptions on Thursday night. He'd had a poor game. Obviously, emotions got the better of them both. But, in the NFL are really trying players, they're really trying to promote player safety, aren't they, and things like that.
Yeah.
I think Garrett is going to be missing for quite some time.
I'd expect him to be, obviously we know that he's going to be out the rest of this season, including playoffs. And I wouldn't be surprised if he missed, say, up to the 4 games next season.
Yeah.
So, they carry it on to next season to say, right, the reason why he is suspended for this season, because we want to remind you all what is going on. The fact is like on, for American listeners, we got something called Sky Sports News, and usually they just have like a 2-minute segment of each game of all the results on a Sunday. The fact is that they had about a 20-minute discussion on this topic with Myles Garrett and Mason Rudolph, and the way that they were discussing it. It's hitting main media news, and when you have that, the NFL don't want that.
No.
So when you're looking at, say BBC, Sky News, CNN, Fox News, and they're all talking about it.
It was even on the BBC website, wasn't it?
Exactly. So the NFL doesn't want this kind of publicity, so they're going to have to send down a stiffer sanction. And what they've done with Myles Garrett, I totally agree with. But I'm still on the thing that Mason Rudolph should have got at least 4, maybe 5 game suspension for going back and instigating it and winding them up even more.
Yeah. I mean,
because Pouncey and the other bloody guy, Bundy or something.
Ogunjobi got a 1-game ban for pushing Mason Rudolph over, didn't he? Now, Pouncey, his suspension. Yeah, like I said, if you listen to the podcast, you'll know that I used to play on the offensive line for the Chester Romans in Brit Ball. Right, my job was to protect my quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
I would have reacted as Pouncey reacted if somebody had done that to my quarterback. I mean, kicking the man in the head was probably a bit extreme, but he'd just seen his quarterback get smacked around the head with a helmet. He's been banned for, is it 3 games? I think Pouncey's been banned for.
But even then, obviously, Pouncey was defending his quarterback, and he got 3 games. But his quarterback instigated it again. So why isn't he being done for it?
Yeah, and he might be. There's definitely talk of a fine coming his way, but I doubt he will be suspended for any games. I'd be surprised.
I think he deserves to be suspended, mate, for causing it.
Yeah, I'd be surprised, but it was a horrible incident. But it wasn't the only one in the game, was it? Juju Smith-Schuster was knocked out with a hit, wasn't he? I think. And then there was it Demarius Randall, the cornerback for the Browns, was ejected for a helmet-to-helmet hit on a defenseless receiver at one point.
I don't know. I haven't seen the whole thing of it. I just seen half the highlights. But
see, once I've figured out how to do this video editing stuff, I'll be able to put the videos of the incidents on it as we're talking about it. But I haven't quite figured that bit out yet. But yeah, I mean, the Browns. There was always a thought when they constructed their roster this offseason that there was going to be issues, discipline issues. Now, it hasn't really affected the locker room as such, but their on-field play, they're one of the most penalised teams in the league for unsportsmanlike conduct.
Yeah.
That they seem to be very, very ill-disciplined. And, they're going to have to be careful because it could blow up in their faces what they've put together this year. I mean, obviously they released Callaway, the wide receiver, this week, didn't they? Because he's just been hit with a 10-game, or was about to be hit with a 10-game drug suspension. The Browns are going to have to be very careful, and I think what they need to do is they need to change head coach this offseason and get a more experienced head coach. With that roster and all of those egos in that locker room, a rookie head coach was probably not the best way to go. Anyway, this is not.
Maybe you need a head coach who's got more of an iron fist and demands the respect and will basically kick the players' asses. So
yeah.
But
anyway,
quickly going back onto the preview, can we keep penalties down, please, Saints? That's all I'm asking.
Yeah, we forgot about that, didn't we? The illegal hands to the face penalties are just infuriating.
We had 12 penalties for 90 yards. We need to cut that out as well.
It was like the first couple of games of the season with all the offensive line penalties, wasn't it? The holding, the false starts. I mean, Eric McCoy even got called for tripping at one point. Everybody knows you don't trip. You just don't. No. But heat of the moment.
The fact is, you clearly see that he stuck his leg out to stop him from getting that breeze, and he got caught out. So
yeah. No. Heat of the moment, you just do anything to try and protect your quarterback, don't you?
Of course you do.
Including kicking people in the head when they're on the floor.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right, Ash. I think that pretty much covers everything we wanted to talk about tonight. Is there anything else you want to add before we finish?
No. It is currently 10:15, so it's about an hour and 45 minutes until the LSU game play the enemy of Ole Miss.
Yeah.
Pardon me. And then it's 6 o'clock tomorrow, we're saying. So hopefully we take a double W tomorrow and tonight.
Hopefully. Right. Thanks again for tonight, Ash. Enjoyable talking football with you. Thanks everybody for listening. If you haven't already, can you hit the subscribe button? We're up to 60 subscribers now, I think.
Yep.
In 3 weeks, which is not bad. We want more, obviously. So share, like, subscribe, whatever it is you need to do. And we will chat to you next weekend. Who dat, everybody?
Who dat?